Remember to cite sources when appropriate. Use format for claims derived from search results. Include proper attribution. The silence of deep space shattered as alarms blared throughout Lunar Command. Jiwoo Park rushed through the crowded corridor, her heart pounding against her ribs. 6 months ago, she had been a simple officer handling routine patrols. Now, as commander of Earth's defensive forces, she carried the weight of humanity on her shoulders. Status report, she demanded, entering the command center. Lieutenant Sung-ho looked up from his console, face pale. Massive objects detected entering the solar system. 7 vessels, each larger than anything we've ever built. The main screen flickered to life, showing enormous ships moving with impossible grace despite their size. They had no visible engines, no recognizable design elements, just smooth silver surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. Time until they reach Earth. 36 hours at current speed. Jiwoo steadied herself against a console. First contact. After centuries of searching the stars had found them instead. Send word to Admiral Do-hyun. All stations on high alert. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. Earth's United Nations convened an emergency council. Military vessels from Mars and Europa were recalled. Scientists worked frantically to decode the strange transmissions emanating from the approaching fleet. Admiral Do-hyun Kim arrived at Lunar Command, looking like he hadn't slept in days. At 63, he was the most experienced officer in Earth's defense forces, a veteran of the Mars insurrection and the Europa crisis. "Tell me we've made contact," he said without preamble. Jiwoo shook her head. Nothing they recognize as communication has worked. The Admiral stared at the tactical display, where 7 red dots moved steadily toward the blue sphere of Earth. "Then we prepare for the worst." The answer came 3 hours later. Every screen on Earth suddenly displayed the same image. A tall, slender being with silvery skin and eyes too large for its narrow face. "People of Earth," it said in perfect, unaccented English, "we are the collective guardians of this sector. We have observed your development with great interest and growing concern." The being's expression remained fixed, emotionless. "Your species possesses a dangerous combination of intelligence and unpredictability. You fight among yourselves. You take risks no rational species would consider. Your expansion cannot be permitted to continue unchecked." Jiwoo felt cold dread settle in her stomach as the being continued. "You have 2 choices. Accept quarantine within your solar system under our supervision, or face immediate extinction. You have 12 hours to decide." The transmission ended, leaving stunned silence. In the command center. "They can't be serious," Sung-ho whispered. But Admiral Do-hyun's face had hardened into something dangerous. "Get me a secure line to the council," he ordered. "It's time to activate Project Obsidian." Jiwoo followed him into the private communication chamber. "Sir, what is Project Obsidian? I don't have clearance for—" "You do now." He entered a series of codes into the terminal. "For 15 years, Commander, Earth's nations have been building in secret. While we made public shows of constructing defensive platforms and patrol ships, the real work happened in the dark spaces, between planets." The screen filled with schematics of ships unlike anything Jiwoo had ever seen. Sleek, angular vessels with advanced weapons systems and engines that shouldn't be possible with current technology. "We always knew this day might come," Do-hyun continued. "The day when humanity would face something bigger than our internal squabbles." "How many?" Jiwoo asked, studying the designs. 300 vessels hidden throughout the asteroid belt, each coated with a nanomaterial that absorbs all light. Against the backdrop of space, they're practically invisible. "The Black Fleet," Jiwoo whispered. Do-hyun nodded. "Officially, Earth will appear to negotiate surrender terms. Meanwhile, you'll take command of Strike Group Alpha and position for a surprise attack when the collective least expects resistance." Hours later, Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the Shadow, the first of the Black Fleet vessels to be activated. Around her, her crew worked with quiet efficiency, preparing systems that had never been tested in actual combat. "All ships report ready." "Commander," said her tactical officer. Through the view screen, Jiwoo watched as the massive collective ships settled into orbit around Earth, their silver hulls reflecting sunlight like artificial moons. "The Council is transmitting our official response," reported her communications officer. They're telling the collective we accept their terms. Jiwoo nodded. And their ships. They've lowered defensive fields. They're preparing to send down representatives to formalize Earth's surrender. This was the moment. The single opportunity when the collective would believe they had won without a fight. Signal all Black Fleet vessels, Jiwoo ordered. Execute Operation First Strike. Throughout the asteroid belt, hundreds of ships suddenly appeared against the blackness of space as they powered up engines that had lain dormant for years. Like a wave of darkness, the Black Fleet surged toward Earth's orbit. The collective never saw them coming. The first sign of humanity's defiance was when the flagship of the alien fleet erupted in nuclear fire as concentrated weapon strikes overwhelmed its suddenly activated shields. All ships, press the attack, Jiwoo commanded. For Earth. As battle was joined above humanity's homeworld, Admiral Do-Yun smiled grimly from Lunar Command. The collective had made a critical error. They had judged humanity by its apparent technology, not by its true nature. They would soon learn that nothing was more dangerous than cornered humans fighting for survival. 3 weeks had passed since the Black Fleet's surprise attack on the collective. Captain Hannah Lee stood on the bridge of the stealth vessel, Prometheus, watching the stars through the view screen. The initial victory had been sweet, but brief. Now, humanity fought for every inch of space. Status report, Hannah said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. Lieutenant Taiho looked up from his console. Collective forces are regrouping near Jupiter. We've lost contact with outpost stations 4 through 7. Hannah nodded grimly. The Prometheus was the fastest ship in the Black Fleet, designed for reconnaissance and quick strikes. For the past week, they had been harassing collective supply lines, striking quickly and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Any word from Earth? Admiral Do-Yun reports all planetary defenses holding, but they won't last if the collective brings their main force. A warning light flashed on the tactical display. Hannah moved quickly to Taiho's station. Collective patrol, 3 ships, he explained. They haven't spotted us yet. Hannah studied the enemy vessels. They were smaller than the massive ships that had first entered the solar system, but still twice the size of the Prometheus. Perfect, she said. Prepare ambush pattern Delta. Let's give them something to remember us by. The Prometheus powered down all non-essential systems, drifting silently as the collective patrol passed nearby. The special light-absorbing material that coated all Black Fleet vessels made them nearly invisible against the darkness of space. When the enemy ships were in optimal position, Hannah gave the order. Now! The Prometheus surged to life, weapons firing with deadly precision. The first collective ship exploded before its crew could even raise shields. The second managed to turn, but a concentrated barrage tore through its engine section, leaving it crippled. The third ship, however, began transmitting a distress signal. Silence that ship, Hannah ordered. The Prometheus closed the distance, weapons targeting the communication array. But before they could fire, the collective vessel did something unexpected. It deliberately collided with the disabled second ship. The explosion rocked the Prometheus, throwing crew members from their stations. Damage report, Hannah shouted over the blaring alarms. Shields at 40%. Engine 3 is offline. Worse, the explosion had revealed their position. Long-range sensors showed 5 more collective vessels changing course, heading directly toward them. Get us out of here. Maximum speed, Hannah ordered. As the Prometheus limped away from the battlefield, Hannah received an encrypted transmission from Lunar Command. Admiral Do-Yun's face appeared on her private screen. Captain Lee, your new orders are top priority, he said without greeting. Return to Earth immediately. Sir, we're in the middle of disrupting collective operations in the outer system. This takes precedence. The Admiral's expression was grave. Our science team has made a breakthrough with the artifacts discovered on Europa last year. Hannah's eyes widened. The mysterious objects found buried in Europa's ice had defied analysis for months. What kind of breakthrough? The kind that might win this war. Do-Hyun lowered his voice. The artifacts respond to human neural patterns in ways they don't respond to the collective. Dr. Min Seo believes they're weapons, Captain. Ancient weapons left by a civilization that fought the collective long before humans existed. Hannah felt a surge of hope for the first time in weeks. "We're on our way, Admiral." The journey back to Earth was dangerous. Collective forces had established blockades throughout the solar system. Twice the Prometheus nearly collided with enemy patrols. Once they had to hide in the rings of Saturn for 3 days, systems powered down to avoid detection. When they finally reached lunar orbit, Hannah was shocked by what she saw. The Black Fleet, once 300 strong, was reduced to fewer than 200 ships. Many showed battle damage. Earth itself had suffered. From orbit, Hannah could see the scorched regions where collective weapons had broken through the defenses. "And my Lunar Command," Admiral Do-hyun greeted her personally. He looked older, the weight of command etched deeply in his face. "The situation is worse than we're telling the public," he admitted as they walked to the research lab. "The collective has called for reinforcements. Our long-range sensors detected their massive fleet crossing the Oort cloud. They'll be here within 2 weeks." "Then we'd better hope these artifacts are as powerful as you think," Hannah replied. The lab was a hive of activity. Scientists from every nation worked side by side. At the center stood Dr. Min-seo Choi, a brilliant physicist whose theories about non-human technology had once made her an outcast in the scientific community. "Captain Lee," she said, beckoning Hannah closer. "Look at this." On a special platform sat what appeared to be a smooth black helmet. It seemed to absorb light just like the coating on the Black Fleet ships. "We've determined it's an interface of some kind," Dr. Min-seo explained. "When a human puts it on, it responds. It seems designed to enhance neural signals, allowing the wearer to control complex systems with thought alone." Hannah frowned. "Like a neural link to a ship?" "More than that." Dr. Min-seo's eyes gleamed with excitement. "Potentially to an entire fleet." Admiral Do-hyun stepped forward. "We're modifying the Prometheus to serve as a command vessel. With this technology, a single human could coordinate the entire Black Fleet with the speed and unity of the collective, but with human creativity and unpredictability." "Who would pilot such a system?" Hannah asked. The Admiral and scientist exchanged glances. "That's why you're here, Captain," Do-hyun said quietly. "Your neural patterns show the highest compatibility with the artifact. The Black Fleet needs you." "To become something more than just a ship, Captain." Hannah stared at the helmet, understanding what was being asked of her. "To merge with an alien technology, to risk her mind to save humanity." "When do we start?" she asked. As if in answer, alarms began to sound throughout the base. A voice over the comm system announced, "Collective breakthrough in Sector 7. All ships to battle stations." The Resistance was about to face its greatest test. The alien space station hung like a crystal spiderweb against the backdrop of stars. Dr. Min-seo Choi tried to hide her amazement as she followed Captain Hannah through the twisting corridors of the Viridian Alliance headquarters. After 2 months of secret travel beyond the solar system, they had finally reached potential allies in the war against the collective. "Remember," Hannah whispered, "show strength. The Viridians respect power, not desperation." Min-seo nodded, clutching the case containing one of the smaller Europa artifacts. This mission was their best hope. Earth could not stand alone much longer. The meeting chamber was vast, with representatives from 12 different species arranged in a circle. Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied easy description, crystalline structures that hummed with inner light, floating gas clouds contained in special suits, beings that seemed more plant than animal. The leader of the Viridian Alliance was named Elior, a tall being with iridescent skin that shifted colors as they spoke. "Humans," Elior said, the translator converting their musical language. "We have watched your battle against the collective with interest. Few resist them. Fewer still survive the first encounter." "We don't just plan to survive," Hannah replied. "We plan to win." A ripple of sounds, laughter perhaps or disbelief, moved through the assembled aliens. "Impossible," said a being composed of interlocking metal plates. "The collective has ruled this sector for 20,000 years. Their technology is beyond your comprehension." Min-seo stepped forward, opening her case. "Perhaps, but we've found something they fear." The artifact inside glowed softly, responding to the human presence. The reaction from the assembled aliens was immediate. Many recoiled, others leaned forward in fascination. "The Ancients' technology," Elior whispered. "Where did you find this?" "Buried beneath the ice of one of our moons," Minseo explained. "They respond only to human neural patterns. The collective tried to destroy them all long ago, but they missed some. This is why they demanded your quarantine," a gaseous being said through its translator. "They feared you would discover these remnants." Hana nodded. "We believe the ancients were similar to humans in brain structure. The artifacts bond with us, enhance our abilities." She activated a holographic display showing the Black Fleet's surprising victories against superior collective forces. "Our unpredictability confuses their hive mind. They cannot anticipate our actions because we don't think as one." "Yet the collective grows desperate," Elior observed. "They have summoned the inevitability." The chamber went silent. Even the translator seemed to struggle with the weight of the word. "What is the inevitability?" Minseo asked. "Their ultimate weapon," Elior explained. "A planet-sized vessel commanded by Supreme Commander Zadon, who has served the collective for 3 centuries. In all that time, he has never failed to crush rebellion." Instead of showing fear, Hana smiled. "Then he has never faced humans before." Back on the Prometheus, Hana and Minseo reported to Admiral Dohyun via secure quantum link. Though only a hologram, the Admiral's exhaustion was clear. "The Viridians have agreed to join us," Hana reported. 6 species have pledged ships. The others will provide intelligence and resources." "Good work," Dohyun said. "We need every ally we can get." "The situation here has deteriorated." The hologram shifted to show the solar system. Red dots representing collective forces surrounded Earth and its colonies. "They've changed tactics," the Admiral continued. "Smaller, faster attacks. They're learning to think like us, adapting to our unpredictability." Minseo stepped forward. "Admiral, the Viridians confirmed what we suspected. The collective fears the artifacts because they once belonged to a species called the Ancients, who nearly defeated them millennia ago. And they fear humans for the same reason," Dohyun concluded. "We think too much like their old enemy." Their conversation was interrupted by alarms. Lieutenant Taiho rushed onto the bridge. "Captain, the Prometheus sensors have detected massive energy readings from the edge of this system. Something's coming through." The view screen showed a swirling vortex of light tearing open the fabric of space. From within emerged a ship so vast it defied comprehension. Not merely the size of a city, but of a small moon. "The inevitability," Hana whispered. Admiral Dohyun's hologram flickered. "Captain, you must return with the Viridian fleet immediately." "I'm executing Operation Sunstorm." "Sir, that's a last resort," Hana protested. "The colonies on Mars and Venus will be evacuated if possible." The Admiral's expression was grim. "Earth comes first." After the transmission ended, Minseo turned to Hana. "What is Operation Sunstorm?" "A desperate gamble," Hana replied. "We're going to use Jupiter's gravity to slingshot the entire Black Fleet at near relativistic speeds directly through the collective." "Blockade? That's suicide?" "The risk of collision at those speeds is astronomical," Hana finished. "But the Admiral is betting that the collective's hive mind can't react quickly enough to such an irrational tactic. No logical species would attempt it." 3 days later, the remains of the Black Fleet gathered near Jupiter's orbit. Admiral Dohyun stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeance, watching as the massive gas giant slowly pulled the fleet into its gravitational embrace. "All ships report ready, sir," his first officer reported. Dohyun nodded. "Begin countdown for gravitational slingshot. May our children forgive us if we're wrong." The maneuver was beautiful in its terrible simplicity. Using Jupiter's immense gravity well, the Black Fleet accelerated to speeds no space battle had ever been fought at before. The collective ships, arranged in a perfect defensive formation, had milliseconds to react as the human vessels hurtled toward them. Some collective ships managed evasive action, most did not. The flash of collisions and explosions lit up space around Earth like a new sun being born. When the light faded, both fleets had suffered catastrophic losses. But Earth's orbital defenses remained intact, and in the distance, The inevitability continued its inexorable approach, undeterred by the sacrifice of its advance forces. On board the Prometheus, racing back to Earth with the Viridian allies, Captain Hana received the battle report with a heavy heart. Admiral Do-hyun's ship was listed among the destroyed. His final transmission was forwarded to her personal channel. "The fate of humanity is in your hands now, Captain. The Black Fleet is yours to command." The medical bay of the Prometheus was quiet, except for the steady beep of monitoring equipment. Captain Hana sat beside the bed where Admiral Do-hyun lay, his body broken but his spirit somehow still intact. He had been found in an escape pod, one of only 3 survivors from the Vengeance. "The fleet?" he asked, his voice barely above, a whisper. "Scattered but not defeated," Hana replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Your Jupiter maneuver destroyed 40% of the collective forces." She paused. "But the inevitability has established orbit around Mars. Supreme Commander Zedon has given Earth 24 hours to surrender." Do-hyun closed his eyes. "And our new allies. The Viridian ships have joined what remains of the Black Fleet. Together, we have 112 vessels." She didn't need to say that the inevitability alone was more powerful than their combined forces. The door slid open, and Dr. Minseo entered, carrying a small metal case. Dark circles ringed her eyes from days without sleep. "Admiral," she said, with a respectful bow, "I have news about the Europa artifacts. Tell me you've found a way to use them against the inevitability," Do-hyun said. Minseo placed the case on a table and opened it. Inside was the helmet-like device they had discovered months ago, now modified with additional components. "We've integrated Viridian technology with the artifact," she explained. "They had pieces of ancient technology too, different from ours. Together they form a complete system." Hana leaned forward. "What kind of system?" "A neural interface, unlike anything we've seen before." Minseo's fingers hovered over the helmet. "When connected to a human mind, it can link directly to any ship with a properly configured receiver. The wearer could control not just one vessel, but an entire fleet simultaneously." "Like the collective hive mind," Do-hyun murmured. "Similar, but with a crucial difference. The collective thinks as one mind spread across many bodies. This would be one mind controlling many ships, while retaining human creativity and adaptability." Hope flickered in Do-hyun's eyes, quickly replaced by concern. "The neural load on a single mind would be enormous." Minseo nodded gravely. "Yes, our simulations suggest no human could withstand it for more than a few hours without permanent damage. Or death," Hana added quietly. The Admiral turned his gaze to the ceiling. "How many ships can we equip with receivers?" "All of them," Minseo said. "The Viridians helped us mass-produce the technology. Every vessel in our combined fleet is ready." A heavy silence filled the room. Finally, Do-hyun spoke. "Who?" "I've volunteered," Hana said firmly. "No!" Do-hyun's voice suddenly found strength. "Absolutely not. You're needed to command the fleet after..." "After what?" Hana challenged. "After someone sacrifices themselves?" "Who else would you suggest, Admiral? You can barely stand." "There must be another way," he insisted. Minseo shook her head. "We've tried everything. The interface requires someone with specific neural patterns. Captain Hana is the most compatible candidate we've found." On the main view screen of the Prometheus bridge, Supreme Commander Zedon's face filled the display. He appeared almost human, but with skin like polished silver and eyes that glowed with inner light. "Your resistance has been impressive," he said, his voice oddly melodic. "Few species have fought so fiercely against the inevitable." Hana, seated in the captain's chair, kept her expression neutral. "We're not just fighting against something, Commander. We're fighting for our right to exist as we choose. An admirable sentiment, but ultimately futile. The collective has maintained order in this sector for 20 millennia. Your kind represents chaos, unpredictable, dangerous." "Perhaps the galaxy needs a little chaos," Hana replied. Zedon studied her for a moment. "You have 12 hours remaining to surrender Earth and all human colonies. After that, we will begin systematic planetary bombardment." The screen went dark. Lieutenant Taiho turned from his console. "Captain, all ships report ready. The Viridian fleet is in position." Hana stood. "It's time." In a specially prepared chamber deep within the Prometheus, Dr. Minseo made final adjustments to the neural interface. The helmet now connected to a chair surrounded by monitoring equipment. "Once activated, the system will link you to every ship in the fleet," she explained, as Hana sat down. "You'll perceive them as extensions of your own body." Hana nodded. "How long will I have?" Minseo hesitated. 4 hours at most before neural degradation becomes irreversible, possibly less." "It will be enough," Hana said with more confidence than she felt. As Minseo placed the helmet on Hana's head, the captain closed her eyes. "Tell me something, Doctor. Do you believe we can win this?" "I believe in human stubbornness," Minseo replied with a small smile. "We never know when to quit. That's why the collective fears us." The helmet activated with a soft hum. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Hana gasped as her consciousness suddenly expanded. She could feel the Prometheus around her, not as a ship she commanded, but as a body she inhabited. Beyond that, she sensed the other ships of the fleet, each a distant limb connected to her mind. Most shocking were the Viridian vessels, so alien in design yet now responding to her thoughts, as if they had always been part of her. "It works," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder and pain. "I can feel all of them." Through the eyes of 100 ships, Hana saw the massive form of the inevitability hanging in space near Mars. It dwarfed even the largest vessels in her fleet, its surface bristling with weapons. "Begin the approach," she commanded, her voice echoing across every ship simultaneously. "All vessels, prepare for combat." As the combined fleet moved toward what might be humanity's final battle, Admiral Do-hyun watched from his medical bed. A screen showed the ships advancing in perfect formation, moving with a coordination impossible for individual captains. "Good luck, Captain," he whispered. "Show them what humans are truly capable of." Pain lanced through Hana's mind as she guided the fleet toward the massive inevitability. 3 hours had passed since she connected to the neural interface. Every minute pushed her closer to the point of no return. Through her expanded consciousness, she felt each ship as if it were part of her own body. She could sense the crews inside them, thousands of humans and aliens united in one desperate gamble. "Status report," she spoke, her voice transmitting across all vessels simultaneously. "Approaching weapons range in 60 seconds, Lieutenant Taiho replied from the Prometheus bridge. "The inevitability is powering up its main cannon." Hana focused her thoughts, dividing the fleet into 3 attack groups. No human commander had ever controlled such complex movements with such precision. The ships moved as one organism, each perfectly positioned to support the others. Supreme Commander Zardon's voice echoed through all communication channels. "Impressive coordination, humans. You learn quickly, but it will not save you." A blinding beam of energy shot forth from the inevitability, so powerful it ionized the space it passed through. In a normal battle, such an attack would have devastated any ship in its path, but Hana had already moved the fleet, the vessels, dancing away from danger with impossible grace. "Return fire," she commanded. All ships fired together, their weapons converging on specific points of the massive dreadnought. Explosions blossomed across its surface, but its shields held. "The Viridian cruisers report their energy reserves at 40%, Taiho said. "We can't maintain this level of firepower much longer." Hana felt blood trickling from her nose, a physical sign of the neural stress. Dr. Minseo watched the medical monitors with growing alarm but said nothing. They had both known the cost when they began. Through the fleet's sensors, Hana detected something unexpected, a subtle fluctuation in the inevitability's shield pattern. It repeated every 73 seconds, creating a momentary weakness. No human could have noticed it. No single ship's sensors could have detected it. But Hana's linked consciousness saw the pattern across hundreds of data streams. "All ships, prepare to execute attack pattern Omega," she ordered. "Target coordinates being transmitted now." The fleet responded instantly, regrouping for a concentrated strike. The timing would need to be perfect. all ships firing at precisely the same moment when the shield weakness appeared. Aboard the Inevitability, Supreme Commander Zedon observed the human fleet's movements with growing concern. They've discovered the shield modulation, he realized. Impossible. His second-in-command, a being of pure energy contained in a mechanical body, turned toward him. Commander, we are detecting an unusual energy signature from the human flagship, some form of neural technology. The ancient interface, Zedon said, his voice hushed. After all these millennia, they've awakened it. He stood from his command chair. Prepare the dimensional weapon. Target their flagship immediately. Back on the Prometheus, Hannah felt a change in the enemy vessel. They're charging something big, she warned. All ships, prepare to execute Omega on my mark. The pain in her head had become a roaring inferno. Blood now flowed freely from her nose and ears. Dr. Minseo injected another stabilizing compound into Hannah's arm, but they both knew it was only delaying the inevitable. Neural degradation at critical levels, Minseo whispered. Captain, you need to disconnect. Not yet, Hannah gasped. Almost there. Through her connection, she could sense the exact moment approaching, the brief window when the Inevitability's shields would be vulnerable. Now, she commanded. Every ship in the fleet fired at once, their weapons converging on a single point on the massive dreadnought's hull. For one breathtaking second, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash visible across the solar system, the shields collapsed. At the same moment, the Inevitability fired its dimensional weapon, a terrifying technology that distorted space itself. The Prometheus shuddered as reality warped around it. Direct hit to our engine section, Taiho reported, his voice tight with fear. Drive core destabilizing. We have minutes before catastrophic failure. Hannah made her decision instantly. All ships except Prometheus, withdraw to safe distance. Continue the attack once we've cleared the area. Captain, what are you planning? Minseo demanded. The only option we have left. Hannah's voice was calm despite the agony in her mind. Help me up. With the doctor's assistance, Hannah stood still, wearing the neural interface. Blood streamed down her face, but her eyes were clear and determined. The Prometheus is lost, she explained, but we can choose how it ends. On her mental command, the damaged ship turned toward the Inevitability, accelerating directly toward the breach in its shields. Captain, no, Taiho protested. There's no need for this. We can evacuate. There's no time, Hannah interrupted. And as long as I'm connected to the interface, I can guide the ship precisely to its target. The drive core explosion will do the rest. The Prometheus raced toward the enormous dreadnought, engines burning well beyond safety limits. Through her neural link, Hannah ordered all escape pods to launch, carrying the crew to safety. She and Dr. Minseo remained behind. You should go, Hannah told the scientist. Minseo shook her head. My place is here. Someone needs to monitor the interface until the end. As the Prometheus closed the final distance to the Inevitability, something unexpected happened. The ancient interface, pushed beyond its limits by Hannah's damaged neural patterns, began to change. The connection deepened, expanded, reached across space in ways its long-dead creators never intended. Suddenly, Hannah's consciousness touched something vast and alien, the collective itself. For one infinite moment, she understood them completely. She saw their fear of chaos, their desperate need for order, and they in turn saw humanity through her eyes, the beautiful unpredictability, the willingness to sacrifice for others, the capacity to change and grow. This is what you feared, she whispered, her thoughts now directly reaching Zedon. Not our weapons or our aggression, but this, our ability to evolve, to become something new. On the Inevitability's bridge, Supreme Commander Zedon staggered as Hannah's consciousness brushed against his. For the first time in 3 centuries of existence, he understood what it meant to be human. The Prometheus struck the Inevitability, precisely at its weakest point. But instead of destruction, the ancient interface created something never seen before, a bridge between minds across species. 3 years later, Admiral Minseo Choi stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital headquarters. The scientist-turned-military leader watched as ships from 20 different species moved in careful patterns around the planet. Some were former collective vessels, others belonged to newly liberated worlds. At the center of the formation, the Black Fleet still patrolled, its ships now symbols of protection rather than war. "The diplomatic corps has arrived from Tau Ceti," announced her aide, Lieutenant Taiho. "Good, and the collective representatives?" "Already in the chamber. They're eager to finalize the treaty." Minseo nodded. The new Galactic Accord would formalize what had begun in that moment of connection between Hana and the collective. A recognition that diversity of thought was not a threat, but a strength. In the center of the diplomatic chamber stood a memorial, a simple hologram showing Captain Hana Lee as she had been before the final battle. Though her physical body had been lost, something of her consciousness remained, preserved within the vast network that now connected former enemies. Sometimes, when the stars aligned just right, ships of the Black Fleet reported receiving guidance from an unseen presence, a captain who had transcended humanity to become something greater, watching over them all.